Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing my August book haul video. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you'll know that now that it's September 1st, it's Halloween and fall, so I feel like I'm very appropriately dressed for this August book haul. Anyway, I'm gonna get into all of the books that I acquired this month. I feel like I have kind of a bigger haul because I did place a book outlet order and I got a bunch of books off of there for a really good price. So I'm quite happy with that. As always, I will start with some new releases. I really did not get many new releases this month. I'm actually pretty surprised. The first new release that I have is The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen. This one was sent to me by the publisher. I'm really looking forward to reading it. It's a new young adult fantasy and it sounds like it's gonna be incredible. Also, just look at this cover. It's like super beautiful and it's so pretty. We're following a girl named Vi and she has bone magic that she derives from the teeth of dead witches. And then her and her band find out that the crown prince and his bodyguard have faked their own deaths. The crew of crows is going to have to protect them so that he can escape the ruthless queen, and he makes her a promise that if Vi and her band of crows make sure that he lives, once he takes the throne, he will protect them forever. So it's kind of a deal that they can't resist. I also got Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I've talked about it a couple of times on my channel so far, but we're following our two main characters who work at a pumpkin patch, and it is their final time working at this pumpkin patch before they're going to be going off to college, so it's kind of like a last hurrah. I've heard that it's just so full of fall, which is my favorite season, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I'm honestly probably going to end up reading it today once I finish filming all of my videos for the day. I've flipped through this already a little bit and I really love the artwork, and from what I can tell, it seems like everything is kind of colored a bit brighter early on and then it gets kind of darker as the story keeps going, so I can't wait to read this one. Then I got Dead Voices by Catherine Arden. This is the second book in the Small Spaces series. The first book took place in the fall at a spooky farm, and this second book takes place during the winter at a creepy little log cabin. And unfortunately this snowstorm comes, so they kind of get trapped within their cabin, and it's just these kids with their parents and this mysterious ghost hunter, and it sounds like it's going to be the perfect kind of spoopy read for Halloween season. And then lastly, of my new releases, I have another graphic novel that just came out, and that is Snow Glass Apples by Neil Gaiman and Colleen Duran. And this is a graphic novel adaptation of Neil Gaiman's short story about Snow White and the evil queen, except it kind of flips the fairy tale on its head, and the queen is actually not so evil, and Snow White is like this ruthless girl that the queen is trying to protect her kingdom from. And I also really love the artwork that I've seen inside of it, and I just think it's going to be a really intriguing and really dark read. Next, I have my favorite book in this whole haul, and that is this edition of The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It's a hardcover, and this is one of the only covers of this series that has just been eluding me for years. I've been searching on it for eBay for so long. I've never been able to find it for an affordable price. I have tried ordering it from other places like Book Depository and Abe Books, taking a chance on some of those, and ended up never getting the correct book with those orders. So I was really worried, but really hopeful when this listing showed up on eBay for it for an affordable price. So I ended up purchasing it. This one bookseller actually has quite a bit of fantasy books in their shop, so I wanted to wait until this one arrived to make sure that it wasn't too good to be true before purchasing anything else from his shop. I can't even believe that I finally have this book in my collection. It's mind-blowing. I just feel like I've been searching for it for so long, and I can't believe that that search has come to an end. It's like the end of an era. But I really love this cover. It's actually a lot darker than I had been expecting. I thought that the face here would be a little bit easier to see. It's actually easier to see it on the spine of the book, whereas here it just looks kind of like dark with some autumnal leaves. But I'm still just so thankful that I have this, like, you don't even understand. Then I went ahead and picked up Season of Storms by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is the final book in the Witcher series, but it's actually the prequel novel, so this precedes the events of the rest of the books in the series. As you guys know, I've been trying to read at least one Witcher book per month. I want to try to read as many of them as I can before the Netflix series debuts. I'm currently up to book 4 in the series, which I'm going to be tackling in September, so I don't have too many left to go, but I really love these characters, so I've been very much enjoying my time with them, and I'm excited to have the most recently published addition to the Witcher universe. Next, I have added a couple of Wheel of Time books to my collection. I'm actually getting pretty close to completing the series and having all of them ready to go in the hardback editions that I really wanted. I actually started reading The Eye of the World this morning, and I am intrigued, so that's a good sign. The ones that I was able to pick up this month are Book 3, The Dragon Reborn, Book 4, The Shadow Rising. This one is particularly hefty. Book 9, Winter's Heart, which actually has my favorite cover of the series, and the final volume, Book 14, A Memory of Light. And this one is actually by Brandon Sanderson, whereas the rest of them are by Robert Jordan, because this is when Brandon Sanderson kind of took over the mantle. I just want to say thank you because one of you guys left a comment on my last book haul video saying that I should check Book Outlet because every once in a while they'll have Wheel of Time books pop up. So I have made it a morning ritual that I get up, I go to my computer, and I check Book Outlet to see if there are any Wheel of Time books, and albeit I ended up finding A Memory of Light on Book Outlet. So I ended up getting this beautiful hardcover that is normally $35 for $5.49, which what a savings. It does have like the little dot up there because it's obviously a bargain book, but I'm so thankful that I got this one. And I actually snagged a couple more of them this morning. It was like such a joyous occasion because every day I've been checking and I'm like, nope, not today, nope, not today. And then this morning I was like, there are 3 books. It was great. Then, as you guys know, I recently finished the Mistborn series and it is a new favorite series of mine. I just need to read everything that Brandon Sanderson has written. So I ended up picking up the first 3 books in the Stormlight Archive series, which I have here. So the first one is The Way of Kings. Then I've got book 2, Words of Radiance, and book 3, Oathbringer. And while I'm talking about these, I'm really excited because Elliot from Elliot Brooks is hosting a buddy read of the Stormlight Archive series. She's going to be having the buddy read on this website called Caravan, which is a website that is specifically designed for buddy reading. So I am signing up and I am definitely going to be joining her for that buddy read. I'll leave a link down below to her announcement video, but basically we're going to be reading 1 Stormlight Archive book per month. We're starting in October with the first book, which is The Way of Kings. Then we're going to be reading the second book in November and the third book in December. And the reason that Elliot announced it so early is because people might need to request the books from their libraries. So she wanted to give you a chance to be able to acquire a copy however you plan on reading it. Also, you guys should just check out Elliot's channel in general if you haven't already, because she is an amazing person. I love watching all of her reviews. She is so thoughtful about them and she goes so in depth, and she also has a lot of really unique and excellent content. Like, I really love her character analysis videos, and she does incredible fan art for a bunch of series, and she also has a deep love of Brandon Sanderson and the Witcher series. She's actually one of the people that got me into the Witcher series. Just hearing her talk about it got me excited, and I'm really thankful for that. I'll leave her announcement down below. Then I have another Brandon Sanderson book, and that is Arcanum Unbound. This is the collection of short stories within the Cosmere universe, so I decided to pick this up so that way I could read the short stories as I finish the corresponding full-length novels that they pair with. So far, I think there are 2 Mistborn stories in here that I'm able to read now, so I have to check those out, which I haven't actually done yet. And I know that Edge Dancer is in here, which is the novella within the Stormlight Archive series, as well as a whole bunch more, and I'm excited to read all the things. Then from Book Depository, I got this really pretty edition of Graceling by Kristen Kishore. This is kind of a classic YA fantasy novel. Classic in the sense that it's one of the older ones that people still maintain is an excellent story. So I have been wanting to check it out for quite a while. I have never read it before, but I'm really looking forward to doing so, and this hardback edition is so pretty. Then I got a used copy of Heir to the Jedi by Kevin Hearn at the Strand. I feel so dumb because I did not realize that this book was an adult book in the canon universe. Made a whole video about reading Star Wars books in canon order, and I totally didn't include this one because I honestly just didn't know that it was part of the adult timeline. This is what happened. So the website that I use is StarWarsCanonTimeline.com, and while I did see this one there, just seeing the cover, I assumed that it was middle grade. I don't know why my mind did that, but it's not the case. It's an adult book, so I need to read it. And I'm kind of excited to have an extra Star Wars book on my TBR, so it worked out, but I don't know why my mind like glossed over it to begin with. I've just discovered that it randomly has 2 dust jackets on it. That's curious. Thankfully, it's the correct book, so that's good. Then also from Book Depository, I picked up a copy of The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. This is a book that I've been hearing about on Reddit a little bit, and it caught my interest, and it's also blurbed by Scott Lynch, so that is another reason that I got kind of invested in it. But it is a standalone fantasy novel following a half-goblin who has lived his life in exile, but then his father and the 3 sons who were in line for the throne before him all get killed. He has no choice but to return to the kingdom and to claim his place as the surviving heir. I'm really interested in it because it sounds like it's going to be full of political intrigue as this goblin kind of adjusts to his new life and tries to figure out who he can trust and who he can't trust. It just sounds like it's gonna be great. Then this is where more of my book outlet order comes in. So I picked up All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is the first book in the Murderbot Diaries series. I've heard excellent things about this. It's a sci-fi series. They're very short. They're like Tor, I want to say they're Tor.com novellas, kind of similar to like the Wayward Children series. So I'm really looking forward to reading a shorter sci-fi series and seeing how I feel about it. It sounds like it has quite a dedicated cult following, and I'm intrigued. I also picked up the first book in the Annihilation series by Jeff Vandermeer. This is another sci-fi book that I have always been interested in, but I just never picked up before. Pretty much every time that I go to Barnes & Noble, I pick it up in the store and I look at it and I'm like, do I want to get it today? I don't know. And I always end up never getting it, but when I saw it on Book Outlet, I was like, all right, it's time. I got The Wood by Chelsea Babluski, and this I honestly picked up because I remember being interested in it when it first debuted. I don't remember much about the synopsis, and I don't want to read the synopsis because it seems to be kind of a horror type fantasy. It takes place in the woods, which is one of my favorite storytelling aspects, so I kind of want to go into this one blind. I really picked this one up because I wanted to meet the free shipping threshold, and I remember being interested in it when it came out, but I just hadn't ever picked up a copy, and I really have not heard anyone at all talk about it, so I just want to be surprised. But I'm thinking it could be a really good October read. I also picked up The Unicorn Quest by Camilla Benko, and this is a middle grade series. I'm a little bit bitter about this one because I ordered a hardcover and I got sent a paperback, but it's Book Outlet, so I don't know if I can necessarily return it or not. But either way, I want to read it, and if I enjoy it, then maybe I'll look for the hardcover in the future. And it's about 2 sisters, and they end up in this fantastical land, but the land unfortunately is in trouble, as is the case for a lot of fantastical lands in middle grade series. So both of the sisters are scared, but one of them ends up going missing, so the other one has to kind of put on her bravest face and go back into this fantasy world and try to discover the secret of the missing unicorns, and ultimately save her sister. Then this is where my haul gets a little bit out of control. I ended up picking up on Book Outlet a bunch of books in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series by Shannon Messenger. I've been wanting to read this for so long, and Mackie from Alexa Loves Books, he has been talking about how he's been reading it. He's a little bit begrudging about it because he claims he doesn't love elves, but we know he does. Every time that he talks about it in the wrap-ups, I'm like, wow, like that just sounds like something that I would really enjoy. I've been very curious, and I decided to take a chance on it. I picked up a couple books in the series. I loved this book so much. I'm so glad that this series has so many books in it. I can't wait to read them all. I loved it to pieces. So anyway, so I got this first book, Keeper of the Lost Cities. Basically, it's kind of Harry Potter-esque. It takes place in a magical elven land, and there's a girl named Sophie who doesn't know that she's an elf until like right in the beginning of the story. She finds out, she gets transported to this world, leaves everything in the human world behind, and then we learn along with her all of the intricacies of this elven land. So I got pretty much the whole series. Book 2 is Exile. Book 3 is Everblaze. Book 4 is Never Seen. Book 5 is Lodestar. Book 6 is Nightfall, and I was really excited that this one came as a signed copy. Book 7 is Flashback, and you can bet that I have the 8th book on pre-order from Barnes & Noble, and I'm really thinking I might catch up on these before November because I really loved the first book that much. Then I ended up reading The Near Witch by Victoria Schwab, and I really enjoyed it. So I got this Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of the newly republished story. This was actually Victoria's debut novel, which went out of print. Thankfully, Titan Books decided to put it back in print, and I'm so glad that they did because I really ended up enjoying this. I was worried because it was her debut, but it was great. One of the things, first of all, there's a beautiful map. Also on the naked hardback, there is a witch, which I love. And I also got the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of A Gathering of Shadows by Victoria Schwab. This is the second book in the A Darker Shade of Magic series. This is one of my favorite series, and I honestly don't know how I didn't have this one. This is one of the collector's editions that has come out. I do have, obviously, the original one, and I have the other collector's edition, like, right behind me, but this is the Barnes & Noble one. And then as far as manga goes, I got volume 9 of Kiss Me at the Stroke of Midnight, which I have already read. I literally read it the day that it came in the mail. I've been following this series and I've been so highly anticipating every volume as they show up. I also got volume 19 of Yona of the Dawn, and finally I got volume 6 of Full Metal Alchemist. This is the Full Metal edition. These ones have been slowly being published, but they're really beautiful hardcovers of the series. I really like this one. Has the title in purple on the spine. They look really nice together, and I'm very much looking forward to starting this series. I got a lot of books this month, so those are all the books that I have added to my collection. I'm not going to say TBR because I've read some of them so far, but I'm really excited to dive into all of the new reading material that I have. And if you can even believe it, I have so much empty space on my bookshelves because I did a major unhaul. So even with all of these books on there, I still have one shelf that is completely empty, which is shocking, but really exciting. And I'm really loving everything that I picked up. I feel very excited about all of these books and I can't wait to read them all. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I picked up this month. That's all that I have for this video, and I will see you guys soon in a new one. Bye!